And there's kind of a huge terror in me because I think everyone has a very strong idea of what Prince Charming is, and I'm sure lots of people have a very strong idea of what their Prince Charming is, but we've stayed away from that, and he's never actually referred to as Prince Charming, he's just referred to as a prince. So I kind of tried to get rid of that element that comes with what came in the cartoon and just take the script for what it was and the prince for who he is, and worked very closely with Ken leading up to starting filming on who this young man was and what his background was, and we've added in things, things that were in the script, and we focused on them as well. And in terms of building his background in the original version, in the cartoon that Disney made, you don't really know very much about the prince until you actually see him. Whereas in this version, we learn that he's been at war for 5 years. He's seen a few things. He's lived a very different life to what you would consider just the Prince Charming version of the princes you can see in all these different type of Disney films. He's a much more intricate, interesting character. I love working with Ken. I've loved working with Ken since the first rehearsal I had with him, when I realised that this wasn't going to be a kind of straightforward telling of a story that everyone knows, that we were all going to have to dive in and create characters from scratch that were different and never been understood properly before. And I've had a really amazing time working with Ken, from the books that he gives me to read, from the questions he asks me about this young prince, things that I've not thought about, or things that surprise me, or things that I can gush to him about. Oh, this is exactly how the prince feels. Or he'll ask me something, I go, I have no idea what the answer to that question is. I'll have to go away and think about that. So Ken challenges me as an actor every day, and challenges the way I'll play a scene, and we'll have really great discussions about what's going on and what people's motives are, and also what kind of character the prince is. That it's not as straightforward as playing a scene with what needs to happen, but playing a scene with this element of a character who's very alien from me. And Ken's been great at diving into and exploring that with me. The first time I walked into the ballroom set was amazing. A lot of these movies, they use CGI to make these kind of magical worlds, but with Cinderella, we'd actually built these magical places, this ballroom that was the size of a football field, filled with hundreds of supporting actors in amazing, colourful costumes, and these chandeliers with real candles on them. So it really felt like a fairy tale come alive. Um, I loved making this film. There's never a day on set that we didn't do something special and unique and magical. But of course, I loved all my scenes with Cinderella, which were a joy. But I particularly loved building a relationship with the King, played by Derek Jacobi, and we managed to have these wonderful scenes where you can see a lighter, funnier side to the prince, and the relationship that he's got with his dad, which I think is a really beautiful one.